Welcome to the Karen Kenney Show. Hey, you guys, welcome to the Karen Kenney Show. I am so happy to be here, spending a little time together. And this episode, I'm calling this sucker, It's Not You. It's not you. And consider this like a little love letter from my heart to the hearts of my fellow writers, musicians, creatives, people who are trying to put good things out into the world, helpful things out into the world, people like entrepreneurs, people who are trying to be of service in some way, the helpers, just the creative people who feel like they have some sort of a calling or something to offer the world to help their fellow beings or whatever. This is just a little love letter. And why I'm calling it It's Not You is there's going to be a part 2 to this, but this is part 1, It's Not You. And let me just tell you a little bit of a story to drop this into place and to maybe make sense. So my sweetie, okay, many of you know my sweetie, my husband, Chris Lester, is a professional musician. He's been, playing live and he's been playing music, like started making sounds as a little drummer when he was like 3 years old. And then he switched over to bass and then he switched over to guitar and he, whatever, he can play a bunch of things. And he's also a singer and a songwriter and a producer. So he's wicked talented. He really pours himself into his craft. He works hard at it. He's a professional, he's like fantastic. Now, my sweetie does several different things. So throughout the course of a week, like just this past week, okay, he played some solo gigs at like local restaurants, pubs, whatever. And then he had some larger shows, some bigger shows. So sometimes he'll play on really big stages, like he plays with his band, the Dark Desert Eagles, which is an incredible Eagles. If you like the band, the Eagles, it's an incredible Eagles tribute band. And they'll play places like Hampton Beach Casino Ballroom or Aura in Portland or travel around the country. And sometimes he'll play rooms with like 700 people. Sometimes he'll play rooms with like 1,500 plus people. Sometimes he'll be in a local bar. You know what I'm saying? He's toured around. He's played with everybody from Carole King to Sully Erna of Godsmack to like, you name it. He's been around, right? Okay, but there's a reason why I'm telling you all this. So think about this. Some nights he'll be on stage in front of, let's say, one of the big rooms, the casino ballroom, 1,500 people. And he'll be up with his band. He'll sing, blah, blah, blah. And he'll get like standing ovations. The people are just like, oh my God, like clapping, going crazy, spotlights, the whole big shadoo, right? And then this same incredibly talented person can play in a local bar, let's say, right? A local pub, restaurant, whatever you want to call it. And he'll be in the corner playing and singing and doing what he does. And there will be people who keep their back to him, who don't pay attention, who never clap, who never acknowledge him, don't leave a tip, like whatever. And it's fascinating because it can be really easy. Now, if my sweetie wasn't aware of the dynamics of this, and part of what I think is the dynamics of this are two very important things, which is the people and the place. And the reason why I'm sharing this with you, dear listener, because maybe you fall into one of those categories, and like as a creative or a writer or whatever, but this can also apply to you in your relationships or you in your family of origin. And I'm going to break that part down in a minute, so stay tuned. But it could be really easy for my sweetie to get discouraged, to feel dejected, to feel like rejected, to feel like what he was offering wasn't good enough because the people in those pubs are like not clapping or not paying attention. And now that's a rare thing these days, right? But when you break down the elements of why it might be, okay, the people who are going to one of those big shows, they had to find out when the show was. They had to be interested. They had to buy a ticket. They had to get some skin in the game, right? With their cash, their time, their energy, their resources. Then they had to show up. And then they have to be present and available to the magic and the sound that is coming towards them. And those are the people who are like your people. They're in the audience. They are there to see you. They see you. And even if it's their first time at this gig, let's say a friend invited them to this show. And I'm gonna connect the dots. So stay with me, right? Maybe if you're a first time person in the audience, but you're there and you're like, holy shit, that's like Pat Badger from Extreme. That's this guy from Steelheart. That's like, oh my God, this guy's like teaches at Berkeley. Oh my God, these guys are professionals. They're fantastic. This show is fun. And then all of a sudden you're there standing ovation, clapping, so glad that you're there. You're participating and you're rewarding the creativity and the artistry, and you're recognizing, holy shit, these guys have really put in the time and the effort and the energy and the money or whatever to create this incredible show. And there's an exchange that's happening there because the people in the audience are the right people at the right time in the right place, and they're getting it. Now, plunk the same really talented musician or musicians into a local like pub or restaurant or whatever, where number one, the restaurant is the one hiring them. So these people do not have to buy a ticket. They may not even know that there's live music at this place. They're just going there to watch TV because sometimes you'll be a musician playing in a bar and there'll be like 18 fucking TVs around you. And people are like looking over your head or looking over your shoulder. They're not there to see you. Or they're playing Keno because there are restaurants that have like gambling stuff in them. So they are not there to see that person. They have no skin in the game. They're not invested. They're not interested. They might, from listening, just happen to, that happens a lot. But there'll be people that, didn't know my sweetie was going to be playing there. And by the end of the night, they're a fan and they're like, where's your schedule? And when can we see you? And how can we find you? And that's really cool too. They become converted, right? Not because my sweetie's trying to convince them of anything, but they hear it and they're like on board and they're like, yes. But there's a major difference between those two experiences. Between putting your artistry, putting your creativity, putting your offer, putting your service in front of people who get it, who understand who you are and what you do, who want it, right? Who like to support live music or like to support your craft, whatever it is that you as a person is offering, and people who just don't get it. They don't get it. They can't see it. They don't want it. They're really different. The people and the places where you're sharing your offering, whether it's your business, your service, your music, your stories, your, whatever it is, your talent, you might have a really different experience. And it can be really, really, really easy because a lot of times artists and creatives are highly sensitive people. It's what allows us to take a look at the world and create art from it, is that we feel things and we see things and we think about things, and then we try to take what's happening and create something from it. We are meaning-making machines, right? And so it can be really easy when you are trying to put something out into the world and it's not getting a response. And it's not getting like the respect, right? The reaction or the return, as they would say in business, the ROI, the return on investment. You're like, oh my God, I've poured all my heart and soul and time and energy into this thing, and the people just aren't responding. And whether it's you're sending emails to your list or you're sending a podcast out there, or like, let's say it was somebody's birthday and you handmade a gift for them, or you baked a meal for somebody or whatever, and you know what you've poured into it, but it wasn't the right audience, man. The right person or the right place or the right time, they just could not appreciate it. And it's not that, and this is the part I really want you to listen up, like really lean in and listen to what I'm saying, my sensitive, dear-hearted creatives. It's not that what you are creating or offering, it's not that it's not valuable or that it's not worthy or that it's not worthwhile. It's a matter of who you're putting it in front of and their capacity to appreciate it and receive it, and their capacity to see you and appreciate you. It's also sometimes a matter of their priority. And sometimes it's a matter of how they identify and see themselves. And I'm going to dive into that in a little bit as well. And, there's a story, somewhere in the Bible. It's probably in the Gospels somewhere. I don't know, Matthew, John, Luke, maybe, I don't know. I don't want to take a bad guess, right? But there's like a phrase that like Jesus says, like something like, don't cast your pearls before swine, right? And I don't know the exact wording, but it's something like, because they'll just trample all over it. They'll just like take their little hooves and go do, 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 because they don't even know what they're being offered. And then I think the second part of that is they might trample it or they'll get angry. They might trample it or they get angry. To me, the trampling of these things that you're putting before people, your pearls, your writing, your music, your business office, your meal that you've created, the gift that you like, whatever it is, the love you are trying to extend somebody in a relationship, right? Again, whether it's your family of origin or your chosen family or your friends, right? Sometimes you're trying to offer something from the heart. And they're like ping, 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 like what they're I'm doing this cross arm thing, like the Wonder Woman, like little bracelets that could like, deflect bullets. Well, people a lot of times will deflect what's good for them. They'll deflect love. They'll deflect the thing that they actually need. Going back to what I said, because it's a matter of their priorities. There are times when people are like, yeah, I don't want to do the work on myself. Now, imagine like being in my shoes, right? As an example, like being a spiritual mentor, being a yoga teacher, being somebody who offers like, somatic work like yoga and Thai yoga massage, somebody who offers the spiritual, the mental, and the emotional work of spiritual mentoring, subconscious reprogramming, like practical neuroscience or neuroplasticity, who brings in conversational hypnosis and integrative change work. And I have all these things, and I'm saying, here, world, here, I'm offering you this. Here, this is how I help. This is how I serve. This is how I spread love in the world. Like, here. And it's like crickets. Now, it can be really easy. And trust me, you can ask my sweetie, you can ask my best friend. There have been times when I'm like just crying, going like, what? I'm trying to offer these things and like, why don't people want it? The world, and I would say the world just doesn't want what I have to offer. And they'd be like, it's not true. My sweetie would be like, sweetie, because he calls me sweetie. He's like, sweetie, it's not you. It's the wrong audience. It's not the right people. They don't get it. And it's not their priority. For a lot of people, working, quote unquote, working on yourself, working to transform patterns and habits and old stories that are keeping people stuck and in their shit and suffering and miserable. And they're staying in these marriages or these jobs or these relationships or these patterns of consciousness, right? The ways that they're choosing, the decisions that they're making, they're suffering basically, but we've normalized it or it just isn't a priority. Hi, Toby Pajamas. Toby. Yeah. Sorry, I just saw Toby crawl out from underneath if you're watching this, you can see him. He just popped out in his little hidey hole where he was taking a nap. It's so cute. So it might not be their priority to like work on themselves or to, get to know themselves better, to understand themselves better, to know why they do what they do and think what they think and believe what they believe and say what they say and the stories they tell about themselves or others, the ways that they trip themselves up and self-sabotage and can't feel inner peace or happiness or satisfaction, right? They get everything they thought they wanted and it's still they're not happy, right? So they don't understand, first of all, that they could even use what you're offering. They don't self-identify as somebody who needs that kind of help. Have you ever known somebody where you look at them and this is not in a condescending way, and this is not in a judgmental way, a mean way or anything. And you just think, wow, it might really help that person to talk to somebody. And whether that's a therapist or a coach or a pastor or a spiritual mentor or whoever, right? They could really use some new perspective, learn some tools to shift their mind, right? From fear to love, to learn how to be with, to make sense of maybe some things that have happened and like get some support and have an unshaming witness, you know what I mean? And but if you were to mention to them getting help, they would kind of be like they'd get pissed at you. And it goes back to that, right? Don't cast your pearls before swine because they might trample them or get angry. And people can get angry for a couple of reasons. One, they're like, don't tell me that I need help. I don't need therapy. You need therapy. You're the one who has issues. You're the one who needs help. Like, don't judge me, like, whatever. And so they may not self identify as somebody who could benefit from what you have to offer. You know, they might not understand, like they don't prioritize, they don't make reading, like let's say you're a writer and they're not people who make reading a priority. They're not somebody who's interested in really learning or growing. You know what I mean? So it can be really easy though, when your environment is not reflecting back to you that what you're offering, oh my God, can you hear him screaming? That what you're offering is of worth or of value. And it can really be easy to confuse what you're offering with you. So if people aren't quote, like let's say you're an entrepreneur and it's like people aren't quote unquote buying, or you're not, as they would say, getting new clients, or your funnel is not like whatever, all this stuff, right? And you're like, I've invested all this time in this and this and this, and now I'm putting it out there and nobody's signing up for my event, or nobody's coming to my class, or nobody's downloading my PDF, or like nobody's opening my emails, nobody's listening to my podcast. And it can be so easy to get discouraged. And this is why, it's one of the reasons why a lot of people, I mean, the success rate of a podcast, it's why there are so many podcasts that people start, they get under less than like 10 episodes and they quit. And there's a reason why Apple Podcasts, when you think about like where people put their podcasts out to be distributed to like where people can listen to it, there's a reason why Apple will not let you upload unless you already have at least 3 episodes in the can, because they want to see that you can actually do more than one, that you will get some skin in the game. But a lot of people start and stop. A lot of people quit and give up because they feel like they're not getting back the energy or the effort or the attention or whatever, that it doesn't feel like an equal exchange because, you know, you're like, again, you're pouring your heart out, or you're standing in the corner with your guitar, singing, doing all this stuff. And it's just that it's not the right people. It's not you. Sometimes it's just not you. It's just not the right people, and it's not the right place. And sometimes it's not the right time. And I'm sharing this with you because it's important that we can start to tell the difference between, like, we don't want to waste things of value, okay? Your time, your energy, your resource, right? I don't think your love ever really gets wasted. I think your love is something that can always be beneficial, even if the other person doesn't get it yet. But we don't want to waste things of value on those who won't appreciate them, who might get angry by your offer of the thing. But there can also be times where if you're trying to share something or just be yourself and shine your light, right, in front of people who themselves are jealous or insecure or envious or competitive or like wicked ambitious, and those people who don't think that there's enough to go around, you know, there'll be times when you could be like you could be offering the best thing in the world. You could just be out in the world being yourself, and somebody else is going to get annoyed, triggered, angered, pissed off, whatever, just because you are alive and breathing. And I tell this funny story that I was at an event one time. It wasn't my event. I was there as a participant. And I was out in California. I had flown out there for the event, and I was in a group coaching program or whatever. And so we would do these every like 6 months or whatever it was. We would do these events where all the members of this coaching program would like fly in and get together, and we'd have a blast. And it was at the end of the program. It was like a year-long program, and we were wrapping things up. And at the end, we were all hanging out in this big room, and we were sitting in a big circle, and people were sharing and talking, and then, you know, playing music and hugging, and everybody was saying goodbye because we were flying back to our different, you know, areas where we lived and whatever. And I'll never forget. It was so funny. Like I had all these people who were like, we were all hugging each other and like, oh my God, I love you. I'm gonna miss you. This was so great. It was so fantastic. I'm so happy I get to spend this weekend with you. And then all of a sudden, this one woman came up to me and she's a little bit younger than me, really pretty, like young, smart, whatever. And she comes up to me and she like kind of grabs me by the arms, like she's standing in front of me and she kind of like grabs me by the arms and she just goes like this. She blurts out, she literally just blurts it out. I was hugging one of our coaches and I got done hugging her and then she came over to get her hug and then she turned around and saw me. She grabs my arms and she just goes like this, oh my God, oh my God, like you trigger me so much. You trigger me so much, like all weekend, like every time I see you, like you trigger me so much. And I was just like standing there, like, like like dumbfounded, like just kind of laughing, like I was smiling and I just kind of laughed because I'm like, like she just hot potatoed me and I'm like, I don't want to catch this. I don't even know what you're lobbing at me. And I'm like, okay. And she's like, huh, but like I realize, it's not you. It's like it's me. Like I gotta like I gotta, I gotta work on myself. And I'm like, oh my God. I mean, I said hi to this person. I was friendly to this person. I had never really probably talked in depth to this person, whatever. And I'm thinking, oh my God, like I'm just over here being me and they're having their own whole reaction over here. And it was very clear to me. I'm like, that's not you. I'm like, it's not you. It's not you. It's not you. You can't help how other people are responding or reacting, right? And so, like I said, you don't cast your pearls before swine. Sometimes they're going to trample on it because they don't appreciate it, they don't get it, they don't understand it, they don't identify as somebody who needs it or wants it. But sometimes they will get angry and they will have a reaction to you. And a lot of times, if another person, now, I mean, just let's pause for a moment and have an honest moment with ourselves, shall we? Double amen hands, if you can recognize this in yourself, that there has been a time where there has been a person in your life or an event you went to. And instead of being like really happy in the audience clapping, some part of you was like having a strong reaction. I don't like them. Who do they think they are? She's too big for her britches. Oh, they think they're so meh, 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 like whatever the thing is. And the person on stage, it's like, it's not you. If you're just going about your business trying to like present or speak or storytell or offer something or whatever, and somebody in the audience, and look, these days, the audience is everywhere because of social media. You could just be at your house filming something with your cat and post it, and people's reactions and people's responses. I'm going to do a whole other episode on that. But look, it's not you. It's not you. And I really don't want you to stop shining your light or being bright or being the incredible, helper or person of service or creative or creator or whatever, the co-creator that you are, because other people just don't get it or they want it and they don't have it yet. So they get mad at you. You know what I'm saying? So, there's a difference, I guess is what I'm trying to say. There's a difference between speaking to people who are willing to look at themselves, willing to do a little work, willing to get some skin in the game, willing to invest in themselves, willing, to want to grow and expand and all that stuff. There's a difference between speaking to the willing and the curious versus wasting time on the hard-headed and the hard-hearted. We have to be aware of this difference. And sometimes we don't. We automatically turn on ourselves, the inner critic that lives within us. That voice that tells you you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not whatever enough, you're not worthy, you're too much this, not enough that. You're not lovable, you're not capable, you're not whatever. It can be really easy when the external world isn't really responding in a way that you would hope, to turn it on yourself and to start to kind of eat yourself alive from the inside, right? From the inside out. And it can be really discouraging, especially if you're just getting started with something. Again, this is like a love letter from my heart to yours. Like, don't give up. Now, it's important that we do some investigative journalism a little bit, right? And take a look around because sometimes it's just, oh, it's not that it's not good. It's just like maybe I need to tweak this or whatever. Like we have to be realistic. We don't just get to walk around saying, "Oh, it's not me, it's them." Because no, well, hello, part two. We'll get to that. Um, the next episode. But right now, right, you might not realize the difference between, oh, like we just assume like, oh, these people are on my email list. Oh, or this person signed up for that. Or this person, is kind of like in my world. And so they're my audience. And it's like, no, we might not realize until we've already tried to like reach people like with our offering, um, that we're going to be rejected, that nobody's going to raise their hand and say, sign me up. I want in. Let's do this. I'm excited by your work. Like, I see what you're doing. It's really great. Like, you're my coach. You're my person. Right. And so sometimes it can feel like you're wasting your time and your energy and your resources. And we all have to, we all have to have those come to Jesus moments with ourselves when we're like, yeah, this is just not working and it's time to do something else. Like I've tried everything that I know how to do, what, right? And it makes me also think of that parable or story where they say, Jesus couldn't perform miracles in his own hometown. And I've talked about this on other episodes. I did a whole episode about how familiarity can breed contempt. There are people who stop being able to see you. This happens a lot in relationships, is we become too familiar with one another and we stop kind of appreciating the person who's across from us. And whether that's your sweetie or your sibling or your parents or your kids or whoever, your best friends, a lot of times people cannot see you outside of the box that they put you in. So to a lot of Jesus's hometown, like Jesus can like travel to like other cities and towns, and he's out there healing the sick, and he's walking on water, and he's like performing miracles, and he's turning blood into water. All the stories, right? He's doing all this stuff. And he comes home and he can't get anything off the ground. He can't get any mojo rolling. He can't perform any miracles because the people there don't have belief and faith. They just are like, oh, this is the carpenter kid who lives down the street with his hammer, right? This kid's nothing special. Who does he think he is? Doesn't he know doesn't he know how this works around here? Don't you going around thinking, don't get too big for your britches, right, Jesus? Like keep it. Oh my God. Can you imagine? It's like so hysterical. But sometimes we cannot perform miracles in our own hometown too, because people have just seen you too many times. They don't understand who's right in front of them. They cannot see you. They can't appreciate it, and so it can be really, really, really easy to turn in on yourself and to attack yourself and to judge yourself and to just give up and to stop creating because you're like, it's just not worth it. And it hurts too much when they say no, or I get embarrassed or I feel ashamed and I'm just not good enough, right? We start to tell ourselves this bullshit story because it's not true. Your worth, I always say your self-worth is not tied to your net worth, first of all. Who you are is priceless. And sometimes it's just not the right audience. And I'm going to say it again. They don't get it. They don't want it. They're not ready. And they can think that if that happens, if you're perpetually trying to share with people who don't understand, who don't get it, who aren't ready, who don't want it, it's not because it's not worthwhile. It's just not the right audience, and we've got to know our audience. And I've said this before, and this is particularly for writers, and I will say this also. Well, I should say it is. I have a soft spot for writers being a writer, but this could, you could be a dancer, you could be a painter, you could be a musician, like whatever. So I'm going to talk about this in two ways. Be mindful, like know your audience, Be really mindful and careful about who you choose to share your work with. So many of my writing friends who are very successful, a lot of them do not show their work to anybody, right? While it's in that very, I don't want to say fragile, but yeah, that kind of fragile and vulnerable state where you could really get thrown off key if somebody comes in and starts critiquing and trying to be like smart and trying to tell you where it's wrong. This is why as a gateless writing instructor, the way that we only give loving feedback. We only tell you where the work is strong. We point out where the power is, where the strength is, where the craft is, where the goodness is, the stuff that like hits us and lands with us and is memorable and has power, right? Because we know how easy it is to derail a creative act because you're putting your pearls before swine. You're getting feedback from people who A, don't know what the fuck they're talking about. B, they're not readers, they're not writers, and you're just like, oh, it's my best friend, or oh, it's my mom, or oh, it's my sister. It's like they don't get it. They don't get it, and they don't know how to be tender during that initial creative process. We've also been, and this is a whole other thing, but we've also been conditioned that what we really want, the ego is trying to tell you what you really want is to be critiqued and you want to be told where it's wrong so you can be better. Like we believe that we want that harshness, but we don't, not in the beginning, especially. So know your audience. Be very careful about who you share these baby birds with. That's how I think of them. These tiny little birds that are just hatching. They're growing their wings. These little butterflies, right? They just came out of the cocoon. They're growing their wings. They're testing things out. Do not give it to the heavy-handed, to the unkind, to the blind, to the cruel, to the ignorant, to the people who are not informed about this delicate and tender and powerful and important process. It's the same thing in relationships. You got to know who is safe to share your vulnerable bits with. Not everybody earns the right. Brené Brown might have said that. Not everybody earns the right to hear your shameful stories or something like that. But we got to know who's trustworthy of a delicate thing. We need really good listeners, really good, unshaming witnesses, people who can see you. And you want your balcony people. And if you haven't listened to that episode, it's balcony people and basement people, right? So much of finding your audience is finding your balcony people, the people who get you and celebrate you and cheerlead you and want you to succeed and don't get weird and jealous when you're their friend and you have a hit, right? A hit record or a hit book or your course is selling really well or your business is thriving. You'll understand right away. You'll start to see people's personalities and how their spiritual maturity and their emotional maturity. Have a friend who like when you do well, notice their response. And it's normal. I want to say this. Sometimes it can be normal, especially if you're in the same field, right? Whether it's a coach, a musician, a writer, whatever, where one of you, right? And I'm actually just read this whole thing about a couple. Both couples were writers and the dynamic that happens when one gets success. I've seen it in actors and actresses, right? Or I guess we call everybody actors now these days. When one of you starts to get success, like that tension, that dynamic that's created because the ego is involved, right? So we want to just make sure your balcony people are the people who, if you were getting an award or you were standing on stage, you're crossing that stage to graduate or get your PhD or your diploma, or you just won an award or you're at a TED Talk or you're whatever it is. You're there to do your first book reading. And they're like the people that would be stomping their feet up in the balcony. They bought tickets. They paid to be there. They're cheering you on. They're swinging their jackets over their heads. They are creating a rumpus. They are creating a ruckus. They are like making noise. That's my friend. That's my son. That's my sister. That's my sweetie. Like, yay, sweetie. Like, it's inevitable if I'm ever at my sweetie show, somewhere somebody is a recording where they hear me in the background yell out, yay, sweetie. Sorry about that. Oh my God. So we want to know who our people are. And then the last thing that I want to say about this, it's really easy when you're in a vulnerable place of thinking that what you're offering isn't any good. You're turning on yourself. You think you're fucked up. You're broken. You suck. You'll never be any good. This thing will never sell. You'll never be able to make money doing what you love. I should just give up. Like, why? But when you're in that really vulnerable state of questioning yourself, when you are not standing in what we would call, or Schwarn would call, the sanctum sanctorum, where you are unwavering and knowing, like when you are unwavering in your faith, you are unwavering in your faith in the divine to have your back, that God is with you, your spiritual team's on the job, that you have your own inner resources, like you've got your own back. When you're in your sanctum sanctorum, you cannot be thrown off your game, right? But we're often not in that place. And this is why like a DSP, always a DSP is like really important, because it helps you to find that place, that unwavering, unshakable place within you. And when we can't find that place within ourselves, it's really important to have good friends around, to have at least one person who can remind us of who we are, can remind us of our goodness, remind us of our strength, remind us of our light, to hold us up when we get a little weak and weary of the bullshit. You know what I'm saying? And trust me, I have had those times. I have had those stretches where I'm like, I don't fucking know if I can keep doing this. Like, I don't even know if it's worth doing this. Does anybody even want this thing? It can be really easy to get discouraged. And this is why, like, having a DSP and having a couple, just one or two, if that's all you got, people around you, and to lean on internal resources, and once in a while get those extra like bolsters in place of people propping you up, right? Because here's the thing, when you're in that very vulnerable place, I'm finally going to make my point, when you're in that very vulnerable place, it's wicked easy for the predators to spot a slightly injured or weakened animal, right? But it's the same thing with like there are certain practices in coaches, who business coaches, whatever coaches, who are going to see you. And here's the thing. A lot of people don't make money unless you think you're broken and fucked up. And this is why so often they'll be like, well, I've got the 3 steps to making sure your funnel does whatever. Here are the 7 things you need to do to make money. Here's the 5 whatever system to make, to grow your, blah, blah. Because as long as you think it's you and that you're fucked up and you're broken and you're stupid and you're confused and you don't know what to do, they're going to be able to make money off of you. They need you to not believe in yourself. Now, I am not saying all coaches. Hello, I'm a coach. Not everybody, but just be mindful. Be careful before you go to work with somebody. Like, do a little research, understand what it is, because those kinds of people who are not doing it for maybe, it could be unconscious or subconsciously, right? There are some fantastic coaches out there, and there are also some shifty motherfuckers, you know what I'm saying? And they want it to be about you. They want you to think it's about you, that you're defective, that you're broken, that you're a hot mess, that you're like murmur, because then you'll pay them money to try to figure it out and fix it. That's why I always say, like, I'm not here to fix you because you're not broken. I'm here to walk along beside you. I'm here to share some tools that have helped me. I'm here to help remind you just how amazing and incredible you really are. Right? Sometimes we do need external support. We do need resources. I wouldn't have a job if that wasn't true. We all need a little help along the way. You know what I'm saying? But be mindful of the intention. Like, really tune into when you're going to hire somebody. Like what's this really all about? Because it's a very vulnerable thing to be willing to put down your dukes, to stop putting on the tough act, and to recognize, like, oh yeah, like I do need some help. To be willing to identify yourself as somebody who could use somebody else's services, as somebody who could benefit from joining somebody's group, like the Nest, or working one-to-one in the Quest, my spiritual one-to-one mentoring program. For people to get to that place, some stuff has to be going on. And they want to be able, when you're already kind of vulnerable and raw, you don't want to be told, oh yeah, you know what? That's right. You are fucked up. You are broken. I'll help you. I'm the only one who can fix you. You need this. It's like, no. This is about reminding you of the resources you already have, maybe sharing some tools and resources you didn't have because nobody's taught you yet. Like, hello, double amen hands. I've had to go first in my own life because there was a lot of things that nobody taught me. And I had to figure some things out. And now my one of the ways that I spread love is turning around and helping other people to understand, like, oh man, like I have these patterns, I have these behaviors, like I have these habits, I have these stories, I have these ways of thinking and being. And like helping people to understand themselves better so that they can make different choices because they want to make different choices, right? So that they can start to maybe have different outcomes in their lives, in their relationships, so that they can start to heal and forgive themselves and forgive others. I think this work that we do, on ourselves is some of the most important work there is to ever do in this lifetime. And it is amazing to me how many people don't make it a priority. And it can be really easy for me to slip into like, oh, I guess nobody wants what I'm offering or blah 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 blah. And I have to keep reminding myself, I know this work is valuable. I know this work makes like it changes lives. I know because I did it too. So again, love letter from my heart to yours. Writers, creatives, coaches, mentors, entrepreneurs, anybody who is working for yourself and trying to offer something original or creative or inspired, it's not you. Sometimes it's just not you. It's just not the right audience. It's not the right people. It's not the right place. And it's not the right time. And so much of this work is trying to figure out like, who is the like where are the people? Where are they? And what do they need and what do they want? And that's a whole other thing. But this also isn't a free pass to just put the blame out there. Because that's what I said, sometimes we got to have a really honest look in the soul mirror and say, okay, where do I need to adjust or tweak things or whatever? But don't abandon don't abandon the truth of your own artistry. I guess this is the final thing that I'll say. So many coaches, and I understand, I always say I would probably have a lot more money if I would just do it the way that the quote unquote uh, influencers or business quote unquote experts or coaches said to do things. But so many of those ways of doing things are just bleh, 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 icky to me, like not interested, don't want to do it, do not like it. I shouldn't say never. I'm not the kind of person that likes to go out into the market and find out what everybody wants and then go create that thing. I just don't do things that way. Maybe I would be a lot wealthier if I did, right? Maybe I always say I'm rich. I might not be super rich or rich financially, but I am rich in a lot of other ways. Um, and I'm the kind of person that I like to create from where the muse or the divine or my own little brain, right? My idea creation is guiding me. I like to move from an inspired place, like based on what is my story to tell. Not go out there and go like, oh, I see Janet's doing X, Y, and Z. Maybe I should create that program. Or everybody loves hot yoga or this or stretchy, like whatever. I'm just making examples, right? Everybody loves this or everybody loves that. I should go do that. It's like, no. The divine has given you your own individual curriculum. We have our own assignment. And these days, people really are starving for realness and authenticity and genuineness in people who are creating. Like, listen to the call of your own heart. Go in, spend some time with yourself, get quiet, and know what is yours. And don't give up. I'm walking along beside you as a fellow creative. This is a love letter again from my heart to yours. Sometimes it's not you. I believe in you. I see you. I'm celebrating you. I'm cheering you on. And I hope you have some people local and close to you who can hug you when things get scary, who can bolster you up, your balcony people. It's so important because it's so easy in this world to be told that you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not fucking whatever enough, right? And it's just not true. Who you are is worthy, and enough and lovable and loving and capable of loving others. You can do this. Okay. So thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. You can find all the different ways to work with me right on my website, KarenKenney.com. Everything from local yoga class to working with me one-to-one to joining the Nest, my spiritual group program, my coaching program. It's fantastic and so many fun people. And we'd love to have you. So thank you for tuning in. Wherever you go, may you leave yourself and the other people and the animals and the place and the environment better than how you found it. Wherever you go, may you and your presence and your energy and your love and your creativity be a blessing. And may it be received well. May you find the right audience. Bye.